Yo, yo, what is good, my fellow wrestling fans? Welcome to a brand new week and welcome to a brand new edition of what we like to call the Clash of Champions, where we dive headfirst into all the storylines, personalities, controversies, and everything in between that center around this world we know and love as professional wrestling. For better or worse, I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Conscious Kurt, aka Kurt GPT, the moral conscience of America in the flesh as always. And my co-host needs no introduction, but the hell with it. He's about to give y'all one anyway.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is his co-host, tag team partner, Jonathan Randall, the Adventurer himself, and welcome to our soap opera that we love to call professional wrestling. So last week we had our recap episode of WrestlePalooza, which took place last weekend. But due to some technical difficulties, we weren't able to provide that for you. We do apologize about that. But to make it up to you guys, we decided to do you guys a favor. So today we're going to do not one, but two wrestling rewind reviews. First, we'll be going back to October of 1997. We'll be reviewing Bad Blood 1997. And then we're going to fast forward a few years later in the same month in 2002 as we review No Mercy. But before we jump into our wrestling DeLorean, Kurt, last night we actually had some hot, exciting action Monday Night Raw last night.
Yeah, Raw was a pretty noteworthy show. It opened up with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, where Rhea Ripley was kind of like finally trying to talk sense into Io Sky, but Io Sky couldn't like find the heart or courage to walk away from, Asuka and Kyrie, even though they both beat the hell out of her the week before. And I have liked the storyline, but I even did Wade Keller's show with him last night, and we were talking about it. How the acting from Io Sky was a little bit, what's the
Off.
word? Yeah,
Hmm.
like I can't do this right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, like just the way it was coming off, it was just like you could like tell it's like not a natural thing.
I don't know. And then later on, you look, you go backstage. Kyrie Zane's trying to, you know, apologize, trying to like, you need to come back. Let's make it work, and blah blah blah. And I don't know, man. It's all drama. It's like
Yeah, it was lots and lots of drama, but I guess they're following Cardi B and Nicki Minaj's example. So yeah, that's what we've been seeing on TV lately. So yeah, what happened was like after Io Sky left the ring, she left like Rhea to herself, and then Asuka and Kyrie attacked Rhea, and then Io ran back to the ring to stop them. And like as she was stopping them, Asuka like sprayed the mist into her face, turned her into a damn fucking like a Smurf. Yeah, that's what the hell she looked like. She looked like a damn Smurf after Asuka got done with her, just like Rhea last week. So then
just
they
all
all they
over.
attacked. Yeah, all over. Then they attacked Rhea some more. And then backstage later, Asuka told Rhea that she asked Adam Pearce for a match for Crown Jewel, and it's been made official. It's going to be Asuka and Kyrie against Io and Rhea in Rhea's home country of Australia on her birthday, too.
Oh wow. Hey,
Her
it's the only
birthday's
way to
October 11th.
wow. Hey, it is the only way you can settle it. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this match. I've actually been really enjoying this feud. It's been one of the more consistent parts of the show for like the last, I would say, month and a half. And yeah,
mm,
they're gonna finally have the match at Crown Jewel, and I think it should definitely be a classic with the four women involved in the story they have. I think they'll definitely body that shit.
oh yeah, and I think there's going to be some shocking conclusion to all of this. So I'm looking forward to that. See how that'll play out.
Yeah, definitely. And also last night we had Dominic Mysterio, who you would have thought was a damn babyface by how the crowd in Raleigh was reacting to him. He defended his IC title against Rusev. And
Yeah.
yo, Dominic gave me a lot of like Eddie Guerrero vibes in this
Oh
match like
yeah.
never before. Holy shit.
Great, interesting match because I kind of knew that these two were going to go at it, especially with the the altercation that they had with each other backstage. You kind of knew that Rusev. This is what something that Rusev needed to do moving forward. But yeah, the match was great. I love the finish. Yeah, it was Dominic, taking credit from his daddy, from Eddie Guerrero, classic lying and cheating and stealing, and I loved it. It was just enjoyment. I'm telling you, man. I've been wanting to say this, but 2025, I think of two people when I think about the male wrestlers. Two people that have a very banner year. It's Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio. Those are like my first two people that I think of.
Yeah, he's definitely had a great year this year. We were even talking about it on Wade Keller's show last night. How
Mm-hmm.
Dominic is one of those future top guys, like along with Braun Breaker. Like he's the future
Mm-hmm.
of the company. And yeah, you
Yeah.
can't deny that. And they were talking about how he maybe needs to put on some muscle because of his size. I'm like, yo, the dude is having the best run of his career. Like the dude has better luck with women than any man I've ever seen on television. So yeah, the dude does not have to do anything to change
Are these
himself.
critics just saying that he needs to put on muscle, or it was just?
It just is something that's been brought up about like if Dominic's really going to be a
Oh
top
yeah,
guy, he might need to put on some muscle.
yeah,
Kind of how like Eddie Guerrero put on more muscle, like when he was the champion, like around that time frame.
yeah. I thought at one point, like I don't know, I think like last year or so, I thought maybe he would get not wear the vest shirt on anymore. I thought he was going to take it off though, but hey, that's his look. I'm all cool with it regardless. So.
Yeah, whatever he's doing, it's working for him, and it worked with him in this match where he pulled a light cheat and steal tactic on Rusev,
Hmm.
where he hit Rusev with the chair, then threw it into his hands and acted like Rusev hit him with it. But that was not enough
Mm,
to get him disqualified. So as the referee was distracted and putting the chair away, he hit Rusev with a low blow and rolled him up and pulled the tights to retain his championship. And the crowd cheered as if he was a babyface, like the
yeah.
UNC and like a men's basketball team won the NCAA title or some shit.
Right. Exactly. Hey man, just I loved it. The feud is not gonna end, I know that for sure. I love it what they got going on between each two. And like I said, this is good for Rusev because look, ever since he came back, yeah, he had that great feud with Sheamus. And oh, you're good?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had that great feud with Sheamus, which was really well. And, you know, now you got to move on forward to the point where, okay, why don't you compete for some championship? And this is one of them, and this is good for him. So,
Yeah, for a heel versus heel match, I found this to be entertaining. It was one of the better parts of the show.
oh yeah. But like I said, it doesn't feel like it's a heel versus heel because the crowd reaction that Dominic is getting. So, like you said, he is getting a babyface reaction. And look, at some point, I don't know, man. At some point, I think Judgment Day needs to end because it's been going on way too long at this point, and I feel like whenever Liv Morgan comes back, I think that group needs to break up. I've been saying
Yeah, well,
that for like the longest time, and it's kind of been long overdue, honestly. Especially with Dominic treatment that he's been getting, and um, I don't know. And then when Liv comes back, she's gonna have problem. She's gonna get into it with Raquel Rodriguez, and plus Roxanne Perez is gonna be involved. And then Finn Balor and his tag team partner um
JD McDonough,
Jamie McDonough. I mean, this has been a while since they defended their tag titles, right?
at least like a month and a half at least.
Yeah, they were even asked about it. So I don't know, man. At some point they gotta split the group up, man.
Yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So yeah, Dominic did retain his title, and then also on Raw we had the further unravelings of Bayley as she lost to Raquel Rodriguez. But before that, she was trying to get Lyra to come out to the ring to be in her corner, but Lyra was having none of it because the last few weeks Bayley has acted like she was her friend 1 minute, and then out of nowhere suddenly just snapped on her and like berated her and all that. So Lyra didn't want to fall for it again and told Bayley her ass was on her own, which led to her losing to Raquel, and then her and Roxanne attacked Bayley after the match, and Lyra came out to her rescue. And Lyra, not knowing what Bayley was going to do, was looking all nervous. And then Bayley ended up giving her a hug and said, "Good job, you idiot. Good job, you idiot." So, yeah, Bayley, the split personality, Bayley is unraveling before our very eyes, but it is good
Hmm.
television.
Yeah, getting a split personality treatment that we're getting from Bailey, and it is weird though, but it is something interesting that we have to keep our eyes on and see how this turns out, moving forward. So
Yeah, I've seen this in sitcoms all the time. It kind of reminds me of a episode of the Ninja Turtles where Shredder started acting like Splinter, and Splinter started acting like Shredder. And then also
Mm,
another episode where Shredder started talking like Michelangelo. You know how the voice of Shredder is Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince?
yeah.
It was just so weird hearing that dude say, Cowabunga, dude, let's get some pizza and be gnarly.
Wow.
Some trippy shit, but all right, that's another story. But in any
Yeah.
event, yeah, so Bailey, they're probably going to stretch this out for a while. I was even talking about it last night. They could even stretch this to WrestleMania if they play the cards right. But yeah, sooner or later, Bailey is going to beat Lyra's ass so badly that she ends up in the damn hospital, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about maybe the hugger Bailey coming back like during this storyline, and I said that it's good for one night to bring it back for one night, but not something permanently because it just feels like at this point, like hugger Bailey lost her virginity and she's a whole different person now, so she can't go
Oh yeah.
back to that old version
True.
of her.
True. That is true. That's a good point.
All right, but anyway, also on Raw, we had Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins continuing the build for their champion versus champion match at Crown Jewel, and I have to say, so
Oh
far
my
from the build,
God.
despite
Great
the fact that I
segment.
despite the fact that I really hate these champion versus champion matches because they don't mean shit after they're over, this one actually has a good story that they're telling going into it,
Yes.
where Cody has defeated Seth Rollins all the matches that they've had against each other in all of them, and also it was Seth who helped Cody win the championship at WrestleMania 40. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they had that story going into it where Seth has never ever defeated Cody Rhodes, very similar to the Rock and Stone Cold story going into WrestleMania 19.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very. And look, you go back to last year, right? They're just throwing people in it to face each other for what this crown jewel championship, just not for the men and the women. But this one, you finally have a actual story with two people that have a history with each other. And not only are they talking about the last three times that they face each other, they even mention about how Seth Rollins helped Cody win the championship at WrestleMania 40. That was a big factor in that story as well. So that plays a big part of it. But yeah, I love the fact how they're playing this. Seth never defeated Cody Rhodes, and it makes it very interesting. That segment alone from last night was just tremendous. I loved it.
Yeah, it got better towards the second half. I really like that part where like Cody brought up how like Rollins talks about how everything goes through him, and he asked like if that decision for Heyman to reunite with Brock at WrestlePalooza went through him
Mm.
also.
Yeah, I love that part. That was some they were throwing some curveballs at each other, man. And also another thing I forgot to point out is that this story is about it's kind of like a little bit of professional jealousy on Seth's part because
Makes
you
sense.
got you gotta understand where Seth is coming from, and this is where I'm kind of like defending him a little bit. He is truly like the workhorse of the business. He's pretty much been there through the ups and downs, working his tail off, being that guy, and yet here he is. He's conflicting with the third person now, who's kind of like in and out of the business. First it was CM Punk. I mean, kind of. I don't want to say Roman Reigns though, but and now Cody Rhodes, another guy who was with the company but then left due to personal reasons, then came back, and then all of a sudden now, I'm the top guy now, and now Seth is looking at it as if like has a problem with that. You know what I mean? Like I've been here, through the trenches, working my tail off. I should be that guy. I should be the quarterback, as what they're saying. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's been basically be building off of that. Where
Mhm.
yeah, when Cody came back 3 years ago, it was Seth who he worked with first, and he beat Seth in those three straight matches, including that Hell in a Cell with the torn pec. So then Rollins kind of, I guess, kind of has that chip on his shoulder of I helped make you, I helped get you to that next level when you first came back, and now you're the main guy. Now you're getting all the attention when I was the one who helped you in the first place. So yes, Rollins definitely has every reason to have a chip on his shoulder. And for that story they're telling into the match that they've been doing the last few weeks, I can definitely see how this one's gonna end. It might not end cleanly, but I see how it's gonna end.
I mean, come on now. Like, obviously, Seth is going to win this match because, like, Cody won it last year. You know what I mean? He doesn't need it. You know, Seth this year has been his year, and I was thinking about that. Like, you look back at what he's been doing, the turnout that he had at WrestleMania earlier this year. You go from there to winning the um, start your own faction division. You have Paul Heyman on your side. Then you win the Money in the Bank. Then you have the ruse of the century at SummerSlam. Now you're the champion. So yeah, this year has been his year, and he's gonna top it off with winning this crown jewel championship.
Yeah, but I like the segment so far between the two of them. I liked last week's when like Cody said to Rollins, like when he asked him the question at the end, in our three matches, how many of them did you win? And then he
Mm-hmm.
just walked off. That was
Mm-hmm.
great. And now Rollins this week is basically just selling the fact that he needs to beat Cody. Like he's pretty much said that at the end of the promo, and then backstage later on with Heyman, he said, "I need to beat him. I need to beat him." But one thing I do like about the storyline, in addition to the story they have to tell for it, it's just a nice break from Rollins and Punk for at least for a little while.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was
No,
nice to
that
get
that
away from
was
that
good.
for a little bit.
Oh, ooh, we need a break from that. It gives CM Punk a chance to concentrate on some baseball since his Cubs are playing against my Padres in the playoffs right now, though. But yeah, and plus he was at a movie premiere yesterday, I believe. If I
Yeah, speaking of movies, I actually saw that movie One Battle After Another on Sunday
yes,
night.
yes, I've been dude, I've been this year has been a very great year for movies, and it's been a
It has been.
long time since I said that. Been a lot of good movies this year. Um, I've been hearing a lot of good things about this movie. You told me the other day it was really good. A lot of people saying it's like the best movie of the year.
Yeah, great cast, great story. Yeah, also especially watching it in IMAX that really added to the experience. Yeah, it's one of the better like actual movies, like legit movies I've watched in a long time.
Mm.
So yeah, I saw that. I also cannot wait to go see Smashing Machine this week when it
Yeah,
comes out.
yeah. I want to
I've
watch
never
that.
said that, and to be honest, I can't believe I'm saying this. I've actually never said that about a rock movie in theaters before.
Hey, I mean, when I heard that he got a standing ovation for 10 minutes after the movie, that says a lot.
Hell yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Crown Jewel also with this card we're getting. So yeah, in addition to the Cody and Rollins segment, which got pretty heated, we also had the main event of a Texas Tornado Rules match pitting Jay and Jimmy Uso against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. We don't see these damn tag team matches enough, but at least this time it was on the
Oh,
Texas Tornado Rules, so it made it a little bit different. There was one point where Braun Breaker like hit that clothesline onto Jimmy Uso through the announce table. That was pretty fucking brutal.
hmm
And then he and Bronson Reed were laying out Jimmy and Jay with the spear and also the Death Valley Driver. And as Bronson Reed was gonna go hit the tsunami, we heard Roman Reigns' music hit. Roman Reigns made his third comeback in 2025 last night on Raw, and he came and attacked Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker with a chair, and that led to Jimmy and Jay hitting dual Uso splashes on the Braun Breaker to get the win. And then after the match, something kind of weird happened where Roman not only attacked Braun Breaker with the chair and like laid him out of the ring, he also like didn't really acknowledge Jimmy and like just hugged Jay and was kind of like gassing up Jay and telling him like wreck everybody, don't be afraid to take what's yours, don't be afraid to take what's yours. Yeah, so now over these last few weeks where like Jimmy has been saying that Jay has been sounding more and more like Roman, with
mm,
Roman being back and doing what he did last night, it's all starting to make more sense on why Jay's been acting so differently.
yeah.
Oh shit.
He's kind of we have a little tribal chief.
In training.
Yeah, like an apprentice, like in Star Wars, the master and your apprentice going on
I
vibes
guess he's
going
gonna
on.
be I guess he's gonna be what Solo Sokoa didn't turn out to be.
Oh, yeah, man, you could easily tell for the past like couple of weeks that Jay's demeanor and his attitude's been slowly changing, and now after what we saw last night, we're kind of like putting two and two together. Like, you know what I mean? So we got to really keep our eyes open on how this is going to turn out moving forward. I'm very interested in seeing how this is going to unfold, and also let's not forget yeah, we have Crown Jewel coming up though, but you got to remember what else is the finale. We have Survivor Series War Games in San Diego coming up. So
Yeah, and I see that being like a Team Roman against Team Rollins type situation, or like Roman Punk and like two or three other people against Rollins
yeah,
division, and
yeah,
possibly and Brock Lesnar. Also, I could see John Cena being on Roman and Cena's team too. I'm sorry, Roman and Punk's team, if it turns out that way.
that would be huge.
Because since Brock beat Cena at WrestlePalooza, and apparently there's no plan for them to have another rematch, which is fucking fine with me after that match turned out the way it did.
Mm,
Just have them settle it at War Games. That works.
I'll be looking forward to it. So yeah, keep our eyes open on that Roman and Jay relationship. So
Yeah. And keep our eyes open on Crown Jewel because this card is looking pretty damn good, especially
mhm,
compared to some of the past Crown Jewel shows we've seen over the years. So yeah,
mm,
we do have Cody against Seth in a champion versus champion match. We also have Tiffany Stratton, fresh off of retaining her women's title last Friday on SmackDown in a match that kind of like fell off the rails in the last few minutes. She will be facing new champion Stephanie Vaquer in a champion versus champion match. We also have Rhea Ripley and Io Sky against Kairi Sane and Asuka. And also made official last week through social media, we have for the very last time John Cena against AJ Styles.
looking forward to that one. I think that's the outside of Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. I'm really looking forward to John Cena and AJ Styles. We know the history between those two, and they always put on a classic in that ring, always. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you and I were both lucky enough to see them face each other in the
Hmm.
ring in 2016 on two separate occasions. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's going to be great to see them wrestle each other one last time. It's going to definitely make up for what WrestlePalooza was with the Cena and Brock match. So
Yeah.
I even heard something that Cena apparently is now like booking the rest of his retirement tour,
Um. Hey, I
which is
don't blame
fine. I
him.
mean,
That is
after how
fine. I
that
mean,
match turned out the way it did, I don't blame him
yeah,
for wanting to book the rest of it.
yeah,
And hell, how this whole year's turned out pretty much for the most part too.
yeah. And also, you got to remember he's leaving, so I think you should do him the favor for him to book his last couple of matches, towards the end. So that's fair.
And who better for him to go against an AJ Styles, who also said last week in an interview that he's going to retire sometime next year.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so both of them are coming towards the end, so it's going to be great to see them face each other one last time in an Australia setting of all places. Yeah, this
Hmm.
should definitely be the match of the. I want to say match of the night, but it's going to be in the morning time for us when we watch it.
Oh, I forgot. It's 8 a.m. my
My
time, right?
time,
No.
no, 8 a.m. my time, 5 a.m. your time.
Oh God.
Madness.
Yeah, and it also was madness last Sunday because the NFL had a game in Dublin, Ireland, which started at like 6 a.m. if I remember though. But yeah, that woo.
Yeah, it's crazy. We'll get into the NFL in a few minutes, but yeah, it also came out today officially that John Cena's last match is going to be on Saturday night's main event on December 13th from Washington D.C. They officially
Mm.
made the statement today.
Yeah, yeah, well, tickets going on sale already. Yep, and I can't
Yeah,
believe
it'll
it's.
cost 1 month's rent, so I hope you have money saved to buy those tickets.
Eesh. They
Yeah, but I
even
saw the
announced.
WrestleMania prices. I saw the WrestleMania prices.
I don't want to look at it. I'm not thinking about it. I said to myself, I'm probably not going to wait not till either March or that first week of April. I'm not in a rush for it. I'm not rushing.
Hell no.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but that
It's just I'm conflicted just with that decision that they did when you announce you had The Rock to announce that WrestleMania is going to be in New Orleans. You had the date set and you already had a logo set already. And then you turn around and be like, "Oh, well, actually we're going to bring it back to Las Vegas." That dude, that is not good, man. That rubs me off the
yeah.
wrong way. I don't care about what are going to come back to Vegas. I don't care about that. I'm fair. I'm all about fairness and I'm all respect about the business. Like that was a bad business decision that they made, man. Bad.
Yeah, we could talk about it all day long, but yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was a
know.
bad business decision. But what was not a bad business decision was the announcement last Sunday that Bad Bunny will be performing at the Super Bowl 60 halftime show. And I know this makes my podcast partner very, very happy, doesn't it?
Oh, you damn right. Oh my god. Kurt, this is kind of like bigger than Bad Bunny. I think the whole genre of the music, reggaeton, is going to be on a spotlight on your biggest stage. And this is a
Hell yeah.
genre that I myself never thought I would be heavily into. If I told myself about almost 10 years ago that you're going to be ended up listening to this genre obsessively, I would have been like, really? I would have been so confused, but I ended up did because of my friends. That's how I got into that music. And to see this person on the main stage, that means a lot to me, man. A lot. As much as I love hip hop and rock and roll and other genres, I love the genre reggaeton. Love it. And of course, we're going to get complaints we have left and right. You know what? Screw them. I don't care. I'm going to see one of my favorite artists on the halftime show. And that means a lot to me. And, the fact that and there's a message being sent. I don't know if you looked into this, but you got to remember Bad Bunny, there's a reason why Bad Bunny did not have a US tour is because he was afraid that he didn't want ICE to be at his concerts and telling,
Trying to take people away.
yeah, from his shows. That's why he had the residency tour in Puerto Rico. And you got to remember, they came up to him, be like, hey, do you want to, do this halftime show? He's like, you know what? I'll just do this one show in the US. And he's doing it to send a message. And I love it.
Fuck
I'm all
Donald
for
Trump.
it. Yeah, I'm all for it. So don't get me wrong. Look, no, don't get me wrong. I love Kendrick's last year. Dre's, Snoop's, and Eminem's from 3 years ago was dope. Loved it. I love Rihanna. Look, the past several halftime shows have been phenomenal, but this one coming up on February 8th, 2026, I'm going to literally be singing my ass off in every song, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
I'm happy for you, man, and I'm happy for him too. This is I
Mhm.
remember I first really heard of him through you when we would talk on the podcast, and then he
Ah,
had that Royal Rumble appearance, and then had those matches and whatnot. Yeah, I'm
hmm
really happy. I'm really thrilled for the dude. I've actually been really getting more into Latin music and reggaeton in the
mm,
last year or so, going to more parties and like working in a reggaeton themed restaurant. I'm sorry, like a Latin themed restaurant and whatnot. So like that's been kind of having it grow on me a lot more. So yeah, it's gonna be a different vibe with the Super Bowl this year compared to others with the halftime show, but different is not bad. That's one thing people need to understand.
thank
Different
you.
is not bad. Give it a chance, and who knows? You might end up coming out of it loving reggaeton and want to make a reggaeton playlist on your Spotify. But
Yep.
be more fucking open minded.
Thank you. And stop for you guys, people,
I'm
whoever
talking
you
to you,
are.
Jason Whitlock.
Thank you. DJ Vlad. Stop.
DJ Vlad, yeah, DJ Vlad
Yeah.
too. It's another disappointment.
Stop complaining. Like, you got to remember, not every halftime show has to be one specific genre. Like, I've seen it all. We had pop, R&B, rock and roll, hip hop, all of it. Dude, Bad Bunny is a global phenomenon, dude. Like, with his popularity and the awards that he's going to win, dude. I'm, I'm would not be surprised that his album that released earlier this year. I would not be surprised if he wins album of the year, wins a Grammy for album of the year next year. I wouldn't be surprised.
It'll be around the same time, so it'll be perfect.
Yes, and then with not only that, the dude's in movies too. He was in Happy Gilmore too. He was
I
in
kind of want to forget that movie happened, but
yeah, I
go
know, but
on.
still though, the fact that he was in it, that says a lot. You know what I mean? He was in
Yeah,
this
this
other
is huge.
yeah, he was in this some crime movie that came out I think a couple months ago. I forgot the name of it.
He also wrestled at WrestleMania. He had that great match at
Yeah,
Backlash in Puerto Rico. Yeah, he's a huge star, bro. He's in, one of the biggest music stars in the last decade. And people are saying he's not global enough to perform at the Super Bowl. Bro, get your head out of your ass.
right. And oh, may I remind you, he's hosted and was a singing host on SNL a couple of times. So hey, come on.
Yeah, just people looking for reasons to complain. If it's not
Always.
this, it's the Charlie Kirk situation. It's also the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, which that definitely upset me because of the fact that they ripped his show off just because he made a joke about Trump. Like that was like pretty obvious that it was like a whole Trump thing. And then
Hmm.
Trump is like spending more time beefing with like late night talk show host and whatnot than actually like doing his damn job. And even at that Charlie Kirk dude's funeral, which looked like more like a freaking like big event than an actual funeral, Trump's like talking about how he can't, wish well for his enemies or like his enemies. He hates his enemies and wants to destroy them. I'm like, yeah, what a classy and professional thing to say at a funeral. But in any event, that's all another story. Yeah, I feel like every week it's something different. Like it's the Charlie Kirk thing, it's Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled. Now it's Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl. So I just ask, what's next?
Dude, every year for the Super Bowl halftime show is always complaining. Every year.
Yep.
It
Last
doesn't
year,
matter
year
who.
before, year
Dude, oh my
before, year
God.
before.
Who do you want? What do you want? You want
Taylor
Elvis?
Swift.
The beat, like, come on. Come
And hell,
on.
Even Taylor Swift's not my cup of tea. But if they said she was performing for the Super Bowl, I'd be like,
I was like,
okay, fine,
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
not
heard
the
a
end of the world.
rumor. At one point, I think my girlfriend told me that like she thought what the rumor was that Adele was going to be one of them. I would have been okay with that. I mean, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
that'd be
Adele.
great too. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great too. Like no matter what the genre is, no matter who gets picked to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, it doesn't affect my everyday life.
right,
And you'd be doing yourself a favor if you didn't let it affect your everyday life so much either.
right.
All right, that's another story for another time. But yo, you watched that triple threat match from SmackDown Friday night, right?
Oh, between
Stratton, Nia Jax, and Jade Cargill.
no, because I have family in town.
Oh shit.
What
Well,
happened?
I watched it online after the show was over because I was at work, so I didn't get to watch it live.
Hmm.
And Nia Jax threw Jade Cargill into the steps, and Jade Cargill got busted open really
Oh,
badly
that was
by
the
that.
picture you sent me. That's how it happened.
Yeah, she like threw her into the steps, and all of a sudden Jade Cargill gets back up, and yeah, she just has a huge gash on her head.
Huh.
Yeah, it was rough, and it only got worse from there. There was one spot where Jade Cargill like hit Nia Jax with the move, and she had her pinned. She had her pinned, but I think Tiffany Stratton was supposed to interrupt the count, and the referee like counted like really slow, or like and like missed the 3 count on purpose.
Oh yeah, I saw that part where it was a botch. Yeah, it kind of
Yeah,
who messed up who on that situation. Was it Nia Jax's fault? But you're now telling me that Tiffany Stratton was supposed to break the count, right?
interrupt the count apparently. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I noticed when I watched it online, like it showed the whole match, or it was supposed to, and they skipped like through a certain minute of it and just went to Tiffany Stratton hitting the over the moonsault onto Nia Jax to win the match. And then when I like looked online afterwards and saw like all the different talk about it, I'm like, oh, that's why they skipped it. Oh man. And I saw the footage of it and I said, like, yo, that's not good. That does not look good at all.
Does anything happen afterwards, or just
It was just an accident, like the social media bullshit. Like everybody came for Nia Jax, everybody came for the referee, saying the referee should be fired and Nia Jax should be forced to do jobs for the next year. Yeah, people were losing their damn minds. Yo, it was an accident. Granted, it didn't go well. It's clear
well?
that it didn't go well, but you don't need to freaking crucify these people for a mistake they made on live
Well, the
TV.
referee kind of was like doing the right thing by doing a slow count because she knew that okay, why is Tiffany not here? You know what I mean? So you can't blame the referee. Come on.
Apparently, you're supposed to like counter down on a shoot.
Hmm.
And I guess maybe she didn't do it that way, or that's the way it looks like she didn't do it. But yeah,
Ah,
either way, yeah, it just didn't come off great. But whatever, accidents happen.
all the time.
Yeah, but that cut on Jade Cargill's head was rough. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
I
not
saw that
pretty.
picture. Oh, that's pretty rough, man.
Yeah, that was graphic. Yeah, it's probably one of
Yeah.
the worst cuts I've seen for a female in WWE at least. Because in AEW, I've seen some wild shit.
Huh.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm
But
literally trying
uh,
to think like, is there any in that division? Huh.
I mean, that was the Becky broken nose, but that was a
Oh
broken
no.
nose. And that
Yeah.
was kind of yeah, it was different. It was
Thinking
still
about it.
brutal, but yeah, different.
Yeah. Huh.
All right, but
Wow.
yeah, we are going to jump in our wrestling DeLorean in a minute, but I think we had a misunderstanding for this week. We're going to do Bad Blood for No Mercy 2002. We're going to do it in a few weeks, like when it's closer to that anniversary. We're going to do
Oh,
two
so,
for October, but today we're just doing Bad Blood. We're going to do No Mercy
oh,
in a few weeks.
oh, right, right, right. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of time of talking and editing if we did both shows today.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, yeah. So now we got that cleared up. My brother,
Yeah.
are you ready to jump into our wrestling DeLorean?
I am ready as always.
Oh, yes, this was a very fun time for me. We're going to take you guys back to October of 1997 because we will be covering WWE's Bad Blood in Your House. And yes, they still call them in your houses. By this point,
Hmm.
this show took place from the Keel Center in St. Louis, Missouri. And I have to say, from watching the show today, the in your houses came a long way crowd attendance wise compared to when they first started to when this show
Oh,
happened.
oh, absolutely. And there's two things that takeaways when I think about this. So when they first started, they were just called in your house, but now you're at this point where you're calling it in your house, but now you're starting to give your pay per views actual like name. You know what I mean? True definition of your pay per views. You're calling it Bad Blood. They don't get me wrong; they were given special names to their pay per views like the year before and all that though, but it was a big change. And not only that, the arenas, because like you said, they started off in some small arenas and some very random places that I've never heard of, like having a pay per view in Omaha, Nebraska, or um, somewhere in you know Tennessee or something like that. The most random places of what I mean. But for this
Yeah,
event,
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Yeah, Chattanooga,
yeah,
Tennessee is like one of the places they went to.
exactly. But this place, this and for Bad Blood 1997, you had it in St. Louis, Missouri, big city. I think it was like a new arena at the time, home of the
Yeah,
St. Louis Blues. So yeah, that this was a big major step.
yeah, it was a packed house. Yeah, you could like tell it felt like more like a big deal compared to the past, like in your houses.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time frame, a lot was going on, not only in the pro wrestling world with the Monday Night Wars, among other things. Also, a lot was going on in the world in pop culture. And one of the
Oh yeah.
biggest news stories that happened actually a month before this show, which you were kind of still feeling the effects of by this point, was the death of Princess Diana.
Ooh. I
I will
remember
never
hearing.
forget that.
Yeah, that was and I look, as an American, you're probably like, oh, like damn. But if you're living in Europe, especially in England, that hit hard. Damn. Car accident, right?
Yeah, her and her boyfriend were like in a car trying to get away from the paparazzi because the paparazzi were harassing them. And as they were trying to get away, they ended up getting into a car accident, a fatal one, and yeah, they passed away.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
messed up, bro.
Yeah, that's for Europeans, especially if you're in England, that's kind of like where were you when that happened, And that's like that hits hard, man. And look, you're in America, of course. Everybody knows about Princess Diana because her popularity, and also she's a very, she is a beautiful woman. She was a very beautiful woman. You know what I mean? Part of the royal family. That is a big deal. So of course everybody knows about her. And then when you hear about
Yeah,
that, you're kind of like, I heard about that too, and I was only, how old was it? 5? Yeah, I was only
yeah,
5. I heard about it, and I was like, oh, I was only 5, and everybody knew who she was. But yeah, if you're living in Europe at that time, yeah, that definitely hit harder than you expected.
yeah. Not even just in Europe, in the States. I remember when that story broke. My mom told me about it, and then she like didn't watch anything else but the news coverage of that.
Mm,
Like once it happened, and they literally talked about that story for an entire week straight. They didn't talk about anything else on the news for a
mm,
whole week other than that. They showed her
wow.
funeral live on TV too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like when she died, and also when Michael Jackson died over a decade later. Those are the stories where I noticed, and like the deaths that I noticed, where that's all anybody talked about.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah, it was
remember
a
where
big.
I was when Michael Jackson passed away because I was I leaving work? I think I was leaving work And
I was
I
at the
heard, I was
gym.
like,
I was,
yeah, I left. Oh my god, yeah, I left work and I got in the car with mom, and she told me, like, John was like, Michael Jackson passed away. I was like, what? It's like, damn.
yeah, crazy. But this story was also crazy. And yeah, it's unfortunate she left two kids behind all over some damn paparazzi
Mm,
motherfuckers trying to harass them, and she loses her life that way. Yeah, very tragic. But yeah, that's one of those
ridiculous.
first like real news stories that I remember where like somebody died, like somebody famous died, and it just felt like the whole world stopped. That was like one of the first ones where like I really saw that go
Yeah.
down.
Mm,
Because I remember, yeah, the first really celebrity death I remember like vividly was Tupac's the year before, but this is like the first one where I noticed that like everything just stopped, and that's like just all the news talked about.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, there were a lot of like famous celebrity deaths like throughout '97 between Princess Diana, also Johnny Versace died a couple months before that, and
Hmm.
Biggie, obviously Biggie, Chris
Hmm.
Farley. Chris Farley
Hmm.
died towards the end of the year, and then there was actually a week after this Bad Blood show, John Denver, the singer John Denver, he died in a plane crash.
Oh wow.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, unfortunately, those were some of the sad things going on in the world. But in more positive news, some of the more popular things that were out in pop culture as far as music goes. The person, ironically enough, who was on top of the world music wise and running everything and was everywhere throughout 1997 was P. Diddy and the Bad Boy Crew.
Yeah, no, it's surprised to hear that. Um, Mo
They
Money,
had
Mo
so many
Problems
number
was a
one
very big song
around
that
this
year.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, around this time it was. Around this time, yeah, More Money, More Problems was huge.
Mm,
Also, All About the Benjamins, I'll Be Missing You. All these songs were number one in the Billboard charts. Hypnotize, Can't Nobody Hold Me Down. And Mace's first album dropped not too long after this Bad Blood, Harlem World. That
mm.
song feels so good. That was out around this time. Yeah, P. Diddy, Mace, the whole Bad Boy crew, they were on everything throughout 97.
Their
Everything.
album No Way Out was a very good album.
It was, yeah, a lot of great stuff on that album. Also,
Mm,
Life After Death had dropped right after Biggie died. That was also a
yeah.
big deal for them.
Hmm.
But yeah, the P. Diddy and the Bad Boy family, they own 1997.
Yeah, with goes easily. You can't. There's no denying that. Look, we can talk all day long about this stuff, the crap that he's doing now, or years prior to that, though. But yeah, 1997, that was his year.
Yeah, that was the shiny suit era.
Yeah. You
Also,
could
what was
tell the
popular,
difference. You could tell there's like a little bit of a difference in hip hop, especially that year, because by their music videos got a little bit flashy.
flashy, colorful, rich, all that good stuff. Yeah, you can say
Yeah.
that shit again. Yeah, that feels so good video, the More Money, More Problems video. Holy shit, man. It'll lose
Oh
an eye
man.
watching this.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, also what was really hot during this time was Mariah Carey's Butterfly album. It was the number one
Oh.
album during this time frame, and the lead single off of that album, which also featured P. Diddy and Mace in the video, was Honey.
Oh wow.
That was a good ass video. Honestly, that's one of my favorite Mariah Carey videos, was that
Yeah.
one.
Where were
You
you
had like Eddie
living?
Griffin. You had Eddie Griffin in the video. You had like
Really?
Diddy, Mace, and the Bad Boy crew in the video. Yeah, because like in the video, Mariah Carey's being held hostage, and then Eddie
Oh
Griffin's like
right.
talking shit to her.
Yeah.
And then she like escapes and like jumps into the pool and runs away, and they're chasing her. Yeah, I fucks with that song though. Yeah, Mariah Carey had a lot of joints, whole lot of joints.
Oh, come on. Mariah Carey dominated the 90s and period.
Yeah, she's the only artist to have a number one song every year of the '90s,
Yeah, so she owned that decade, man. There's come on now.
big
You
time.
think about the 90s, come on, like the Dallas Cowboys owned the 90s, the Chicago Bulls owned the 90s, and when you think about music, like come on, Mariah Carey is one of those artists that she just dominated that whole decade, you know what I mean? So it goes without saying.
Yeah, and how many pop artists like back then, especially from at like her stature, were like collaborating with hip hop artists?
Ooh.
Yeah, like how many of them were doing that other than her? Like you didn't really see Madonna do that. Hell,
No.
Even Whitney Houston didn't do that really. If you look back at
No,
it,
no, no, she didn't. Mm.
yeah, she was doing songs with Old Dirty Bastard. She was doing songs with P Diddy and Mace, The Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay Z. Yeah, everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Where
the
were
number
you?
one song during Go ahead, my bad.
I'm sorry. Where were you living at the time?
I was still living in South Florida. I've mentioned this before on the show. I pretty much lived in South Florida at my grandma's house, my mom, my older
Oh,
brother,
right,
pretty
right.
much all of the 90s. I pretty much lived there, yeah, all of the 90s. And yes, I was living there during this time. I was in the beginning of fifth grade, my last year of elementary school. And
Hmm.
honestly, I knew I was just a kid. I knew I was just 11, 12 years old at the time. But honestly, that's one of my favorite school years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really have a soft spot for that, like latter part of '97, like first half of '98 period. Yeah, it was just such a great time. Yeah, so much
Nice,
good shit
nice.
was going on during that period. And yeah, the
There's a
music,
lot
as
of
I
good
said, was
stuff in pop culture. Like,
yeah, the music I said was one of those good things. Yeah, the Mariah
mhm.
Carey Honey album. Also, you had P Diddy and the Family. Wu Tang Forever came out earlier that summer. That was also a
Hmm.
big deal. But actually, funny enough, my favorite album from that year was actually Rakim's Guess Who's Back. No, I'm sorry, my bad. Not that album. That's not the name of it. It is called 18th Letter, Rakim's 18th Letter.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I know. What was it I was saying? I think '97 is like a slept-on year for movies. Do you agree?
Oh, yes. And I'm so glad you brought that up because I saw one of our favorite movies from that year. I
Men
saw
in
one of
Black.
our favorite movies. I did see that earlier that year, but I'm saying around the time of this Bad Blood show the week
Oh,
before, I saw
okay.
one of our favorite movies from that year. You know what movie that was?
Is it a comedy?
There's parts of it that are funny, but it's more of a drama.
Oh my god. Soul Food.
Yes.
Dude, we could go on and on about
Oh, shit.
how crazy and a little bit toxic that movie was.
A little bit in the opening damn scene.
No,
Homeboy's dancing with his ex
no, you
at his
know what
damn
I'm saying.
wedding.
You know what I mean? Not a little bit. That movie was just like, look, I have that movie on VHS still, right? I remember they're showing they showed damn near two music videos, one before the movie, one after, right?
Oh,
You're
that was
right.
another thing about that movie. That's another thing about that movie. Great soundtrack. One of
Yes.
the best movie soundtracks you'll ever hear.
Yes, I agree. Um yeah, you're right. So it's one of those movies where like I mean, I was a kid watching that movie, so you're kind of just ignoring everything. You're just like, whatever, right? And then as you get older, and especially since I've met you, when I'm hearing the stuff that you're saying, I'm just like, oh my god. I was like, oh my god, what?
Yeah, I'm not gonna
The-
lie. I watched that movie earlier this year, and like just that opening scene alone at the wedding, where the groom is booty dancing with his ex girlfriend at the
Yeah,
damn wedding reception,
yeah. That's like who does that for one? Who does that?
and he's drinking like a bottle, like just in the middle of the dance floor,
And
and then
you're
the
really
bride,
like you're enjoying it, and I'm saying like, who does that?
gets like a dollar bill put in her bra by her ex. I'm like, yo, who the fuck invited their exes to the damn wedding?
Who does this? Who
And
does
it gets
this?
and it just gets worse from there. It just gets so much
Oh,
fucking worse from
well,
there.
I didn't even know which one was the worst. And then I think the biggest takeaway from that movie is that you feel bad for Vanessa Williams' character because, like, when I was younger, I was like, ah, she's a jerk and blah blah blah, right? But when you
Well, she
get
kind of
older,
was though. What kind of
I
was though? I mean, she does have her reasons. Like, granted, you sympathize with her, but admittedly, she did have her faults.
true though, but you kind of do feel bad for her in some ways though because it's
Oh
like
yeah, definitely.
she's
Yeah, I agree.
taking most of the responsibilities, and that's not fair. And I
Yeah,
get it. Like
and
she
not to
wanted to.
mention, in that flashback scene when
Oh
her
yeah.
sister hooked up
Nah.
with her man behind her
Yeah.
back, and then she caught them.
Yeah.
Yo, that's messed up. Yo, that's mad messed up.
I know. And then to make it worse, you find that your husband's cheating with your cousin. And I was like, oh my God.
And a cousin you don't even like at that.
Yeah. And oh, make it worse. Prior to that, you took her in. And I'm like saying to myself, like, well, damn, like your sisters couldn't take her in. Like, I get it. I get it. The other sister,
Had
not
kids.
Nia Long. But
Vanessa Vivica Fox.
Vivica Fox, I mean, I know she was having a baby at the time, but still, though, like, damn, like the older sister had to take her in. Like, why did she had to take most of the responsibility for everything? She wasn't she paying like
The
the
hospital
mortgage?
bills.
Yeah, the mortgage on for her mom, for Big Mama.
Yeah, she was definitely like, yeah, taking on a lot, and I can understand why she snapped at the damn like anniversary party when she pulled the knife out on homeboy, and yeah, that
Right,
whole thing just like went all over the place. Not to mention the grandma being sick in the middle of all this. Yeah, just
right.
so yeah, family drama all over the place in this movie, but it's great.
It is a good movie. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I love that
It's a
movie.
great
I love
movie.
that movie.
Yeah, but damn,
It's one
it
of my
was just
it's
too.
my top five. It's my top five for that year. It's Soul
Yeah.
Food, Goodwill
Mm,
Hunting, Jackie
mm,
Brown,
mm,
Liar Liar,
mm.
and Chasing Amy. Yeah, Chasing Amy.
I never heard of that one. I never seen it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's actually the it's what's his name? Ben Affleck's in it, and also remember Big Daddy, the girl who Adam Sandler ends up getting with in the end, the
She's
lawyer
in there.
lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Amy. Yeah, she plays Amy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a good
Hmm.
movie. It's from the same people who made the movie on Clerks, also the Jay and Silent Bob
Oh,
movies. The people who made those, yeah, they made that movie.
I saw some of that. I think like earlier this year, and that was a hilarious movie.
Clerks is good though. Clerks is good.
I'm really trying to
All
let's see
right.
what a.
Also, Kiss the Girls was the number one movie out during this time with Morgan Freeman. I never saw it, but that I do remember when that movie did come out
I
around this time.
so I finally watched Face Off. I think a year ago
Oh shoot, that came out
with
earlier in the year though. That came out like in the summer.
yeah. But I'm just thinking about like these movies that came out in 1997. Just like
I'm thinking
I
more of
don't
like
want to
the ones
mention.
that came out around this time because I remember like going to the
Yeah,
movies a lot during this time period.
yeah. I've never. I Another one I finally watched like a year ago was Con Air. I know that didn't come out like during this time though, but
Uh, yeah,
huh,
Crazy Con Air and Face Off came out the same month.
wow.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage was on one during that time. But yeah,
Hmm.
Con Air, that's one of the best endings to a movie you'll see. Like especially if you have a
Yeah.
daughter or have kids, yeah, it definitely gets to you. But
Hmm.
that's another story. But yeah, Kiss the Girls is the number one movie out during this time. Also, another movie that would come out later this month that was basically a carbon copy of Scream was I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, that was a good movie.
No, it
That
wasn't.
I know. That I like that movie.
I'll be
It was a
honest, I watched
decent.
it.
It was a decent, good slasher film, man. I mean, come on. Like I like the plot. Like you have drunk high schoolers accidentally killed somebody, and you're in this, you know, this dude's like was a fisherman, and it was just it was a big suspenseful movie. It was okay. I liked it. It was better than the second one. It was better than the second
Yeah,
one.
that's not
Come
saying
on,
much though.
just because Brandy was in it, I don't mean no damn thing to me. It's better than the second one. Okay,
But
come
even the
on,
first
but
one was really nothing that special. Like honestly, I went back to watch it a year ago. I'm like, this isn't really anything that memorable. Yeah, it's definitely no Scream. Hell, it's even no
well, I
Scream
know
2.
that. Well, I know that. I mean, but come on, I mean, you have to admit some of the horror movies were kind of like it has some good feel to it during that time. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course, Scream, and I would, I have a soft spot for I Know What You Did Last Summer though. But I'm trying to
This was
think
the
what are the.
ultimate. This was the ultimate warrior to Scream's Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
That's the
okay,
best way.
okay, okay. Look, all I'm saying is I have a soft spot for it. I had no problem with it. It was okay. It was a good cast. I like the
It
plot.
was.
It was yeah. So
Also, another movie I saw like not too long before this, some Bad Blood Show, and it's funny because I just watched this guy's documentary last week on Netflix, the one movie Money Talks with Charlie Sheen and
oh
Chris
yeah, that
Tucker.
came out that year too. Well, it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like that they got Chris Tucker to talk on the Charlie Sheen doc. Now that's actually a
Oh,
really
they
good.
did.
Yeah, they interviewed Chris Tucker.
Oh, okay.
It was
You
a
know,
good
it's a funny.
documentary. Yeah, they divided it into two parts.
You know what's crazy? Speaking of Chris Tucker, another film that he was in that year was The Fifth Element.
Oh yeah, he was also in Jackie Brown. Yeah, he was also in Jackie Brown too.
Oh,
Yeah, Chris Tucker was really heavy in his bag during this time, and then
Mm,
this is around the time he became a born again Christian and didn't want to do certain movies anymore, and that's why he stuck to the Rush Hours.
got you. Yeah, everybody was like, "Why you won't do Smokey again or whatever?" I'm like, do you guys don't probably have? I mean, I don't know. He says he's a born again Christian. There's certain things he's not going to do anymore, so that's why he won't do that role. So
Also, that and the fact that he only got paid a few $1,000s for the first Friday compared to the millions of dollars he would get paid for the Rush Hours.
ah, hmm.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think the one. I mean, I was only 5 at the time. The one movie and the song that really just grabbed a hold of me was, of course, was Men in Black and the music video.
Ah, great stuff.
That song was. This is peak Will Smith. Like after Fresh Prince, yeah, Will Smith just.
That's when you like really knew he was a movie star because he had
Yeah,
Bad
like
Boys and he had Independence Day, but this is like when he really became like that guy.
yeah, like that. Man, that was a damn good movie and good summer movie. Great
Yeah, it
music video.
was
Low. Yeah,
great music
we're,
video. He had a bunch of hits after that. He had the Getting Jiggy with It and Welcome to
hmm
Miami. Like not too
that
long
came
after
out that
that
year.
too.
Yeah.
The album Big Willie Style that came out that year, but the singles came out like more like in '98.
Oh, okay, I see. Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, Will Smith was killing it during this time. And we also mentioned
Mm-hmm.
Mariah Carey, P. Diddy, and the family. And also
Mm.
something that was really getting better during this time was pro wrestling as a whole.
Yeah,
From WWE, WCW, and ECW, all the companies were really producing some good stuff during this time. But
and
I will
you.
say,
Oh, I'm sorry. You and a lot of critics would say 1997 is probably one of the most underrated, one of the best years in pro wrestling.
as a whole, yes, 1997 is definitely one of my favorite years of wrestling. Being a fan, and just that time frame, all the companies like really putting out some good material, having great talent to watch every week, and like just being in competition with each other. Also, yeah, there was nothing like being a wrestling fan during this time frame in the fall of '97. Yeah, it was a great time.
Just the business was really pro wrestling in general was really changing because it wasn't the same how it was during the 80s and early 90s. It was becoming its own identity. It was becoming edgier, which was something
Yeah,
that we needed. Rather, if you were a fan of WWE or WCW, or if you like ECW, it was becoming edgier, and it was starting to have like a new identity, and I it was starting to identify with the decade. I When I think about the 90s, especially like the late 90s, I describe it as a youthful edginess decade when it comes to mainly to pop culture, when it comes to the music, um, you know, um, entertainment. There was like
yeah.
some edginess.
Speaking of TV, one thing we forgot to mention before we get into Bad Blood, one show that actually came out not too long before this Bad Blood feud that still goes on today, South
South Park.
Park.
Yep.
Yeah, South Park started around this time. Also, this same month of October, I was actually living in Florida at the time. Funny enough, the same month of October was when the Florida Marlins won the World Series.
Oh my God! Over the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it was so crazy during that time down there.
Wow! Of all the teams, man. Wow.
Yeah,
And
the
they'll win
Marlins was
it,
like,
and they'll win it again in 2003 against the Yankees. That's like,
yeah, it's so crazy. Like, the Marlins were always that team that like nobody cared about. They would give tickets away usually to their games, and lo and behold, they're winning the damn World Series.
yeah. And I wasn't even watching baseball at the time. I was only 5. I think the only sport that I was like really into was football. That is and it's funny that year I watched my first Super Bowl that year. It was the
Interesting.
Packers versus the Patriots in '97. So that was when I first started to really, dive in and watch football at that age. And yeah, but yeah, that's crazy. Marlins winning the World Series, man. That's crazy stuff though. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but what was also crazy was the damn pro wrestling we were getting throughout
yeah,
'97 and WWE. While they were in the middle of their losing war against WCW in the ratings, every week during this time, they were slowly catching up to them because the
They were.
product from the what it looked like at the start of '97 to this point in '97, it got way better. They definitely made a lot of improvements throughout that year, and a lot of them could be seen on this show.
Oh yeah, a lot of changes with the product. Like if you look back at how it was early in the year compared to late in the year, Monday Night Raw had a small set, look small arenas, and now towards the end of the year, especially during this time in October, you're in much more bigger arenas, and now the set's bigger. Now you have the big old Titantron. You have a different theme song. The ropes, you go from red, white, and blue ropes to all red ropes. Now it's not called Monday Night Raw. Now it's called Raw is War. So yeah, there was a big transition throughout that year, man.
Yeah, a lot changed. A lot of people's characters changed. Like Bret Hart went from like the lovable baby face to
Mm-hmm.
the despised Canadian hero who would be a heel in America, but he would be a baby face in the States.
But has his but when you look back at it, he has some good pointers about America. You kind of look back at it like he has a point.
Yeah, he had a lot of valid points. Yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely had a lot of valid points when you look back at it now. But I feel like that whole anti-America, like pro-Canada Hart Foundation stable, it was kind of like pushed to the side by this point, kind of more in favor of Shawn Michaels and DX, because this was also around the time when like DX first got started with Shawn. You know,
Yeah.
like when Shawn like first on screen started, hanging out with Triple H, also China and Rick Rude for the brief time he was there too. Yeah, that's like this is like basically the early stages of DX was around this time, and also around this time, The Rock had joined the Nation of Domination, and that would be kind of the
Hmm.
start of The Rock really coming into his own, and then eventually becoming one of the top guys in the company. So
Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of the foundations for what the Attitude Era would be like in the next few years, like really started around this time frame.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I know this is not a faction, but one particular person who popularity was literally just soaring was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh yes, and around this time was when he was going on his spree of stunning like all the announcers. Like the month before at Ground Zero, he stunned Jim Ross. Then the next
Yeah.
night on Raw, he stunned Commissioner Sergeant Slaughter. Then a week later, he stunned Jerry Lawler out of his crown and his boots. And then
Hmm.
the big one happened at the Madison Square Garden Raw 2 weeks before this, where Austin stunned the owner Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
He took one of the worst Stone Cold stunners known to man until
Yeah.
Donald Trump came along. But yeah,
Yeah.
it
I
was
know.
pretty bad.
It was bad though. You. It's called Stone Around the World though, but it didn't look too good. You know.
Yeah, because this is like when Austin had the neck injury from the match at SummerSlam with
Yeah.
Owens, so he couldn't wrestle. So they were doing these kind of angles to still keep him hot, and it was working. By this point in '97, even though Austin wasn't wrestling, he was still the hottest star in the company, probably next to Bret and Undertaker and Shawn.
Yeah. And it's funny, like we talk about that transition from early in the year towards the end of the year. Austin was he was there with his feud with Bret Hart. But after that match he had with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, everything changed after that, slowly changed after that. And his popularity started to grow. And now the fan reaction that he was getting in October was completely different from what he was getting early in the year.
Yeah, and I was at SummerSlam not too long before this at the Meadowlands, and yeah, he got a huge, gigantic reaction. Probably the best reaction of the whole night,
Uh,
if I'm really being honest.
mm,
Yeah, he was just so white hot during this time. Like WCW still was great. They still had their hot talent and like the better product in many ways during that time. But WWE was really catching up to them with the rise of Austin, with the Hart Foundation, with DX, with the Nation, with the Undertaker, and also the debut of a certain someone we'll get into at the end of our coverage of this episode.
yeah,
Yes, but unfortunately, there was some tragedy surrounding this Bad Blood show. As during the free for all, like literally 15 minutes before the show was about to go on the air, Vince McMahon made the announcement that Brian Pillman, who was actually supposed to wrestle Dude Love on this show, had passed away that afternoon.
yeah.
Damn, son.
Shocking. It came out of nowhere, dude.
I was watching it live as this all happened. Yeah, I was literally watching that free for all show when Vince made the announcement. I'm like, Brian Pillman's dead. Like,
Hmm.
I just saw him on TV on Monday. He's supposed to wrestle tonight. He's dead. Yeah, it was so weird. That was like the first major wrestling death that I remember experiencing as a fan.
Mm.
And under those circumstances, at that, like, it's not like, like a person was older, they died because they were old and sick. It was like literally a dude who was like in his 30s, was supposed to be on the show that night, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Mm.
And you could kind of tell throughout watching the show, you could tell like with certain people when they came out, especially Owen Hart, that they were rocked by this, and rightfully so.
Of course. Oh yeah, of course, because you know you you got people that work with you and they know you well, and and out of nowhere you're hit with this tragedy. Of course, you're going to feel some type of way, especially when you have a live event going on and this happens. So it's similar to a couple years later when Owen passed away. Just after he passed away, just like this was like in the middle of the show, and you still have other matches going on, and then you could just easily tell that the mood on the wrestlers performing afterwards is just very somber, man. Just not the same.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like their colleague, the person they see every day and sometimes travel with every day, just suddenly died in his hotel room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Dark Side of the Ring episode about his death is, yeah, very sad, especially what happened
Hmm.
to his son afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just so messed up when Vince like called her like live on Raw the next night, his widow, and like was like asking her like if drugs were involved in his death and like what she planned on doing now that she's a single mom. I'm like, yo, this dude should never like be a part of any form of like counseling or like giving people advice or like trying to console them when somebody dies ever, because that was just terrible,
Yeah.
terrible, son. Yeah. I mean, I know Melanie Pillman's had her issues, God rest her soul. Like, especially when you watch that Dark Side of the Ring episode, you could like definitely tell she had her issues and whatnot. But yeah, that was still wrong to like put her like on live TV like the day after her husband died, and especially to ask her those kind of questions. Yeah, that was as insensitive as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, very sad story. Yeah, and definitely a day I'll never forget. Dude was 35 years old and died of a heart failure.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Sad, man.
unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate because he was going through a lot of like personal issues at the time. Because like he had that car accident where his like ankle was shattered and like he could never really wrestle the same. Like sometimes he would be like limping through the airport. Yeah, because he was around the Heart Foundation stable a lot during this time. Yeah, he was a part of
Yeah.
it, and then
Hmm.
literally right as it's still going on, he passes away.
Man.
Yeah, but rest in peace to Brian Pillman. Definitely somebody whose legacy will never be forgotten, and it's unfortunate that he passed so soon and also under those circumstances.
Yep. Rest in peace.
All right, but let's get on to the show. We had Bad Blood taking place from the Keel Center in St. Louis. Over 20,000 people for an in your house. That was a big deal. Yeah, WWE, even if they were going through financial problems throughout '97, to get that many people for an in your house is a huge step up.
And the reason why, well, one of the reasons why is because of that is because one particular match that we'll get
Yeah,
into later, though. But
yes, and that match was definitely one of the best of all time. But yeah, we will touch on that later. But in the opening match of the show, we had a handicap match as it was the Legion of Doom, fresh off their return to WWE earlier that year, taking on Rocky Maivia. He wasn't even called The Rock yet, funny enough, along
yeah.
with Kama and D'Lo Brown of the Nation of Domination. And this match was supposed to be Ken Shamrock and the Legion of Doom against Farouk, Kama, and D'Lo, but then Farouk advanced to the finals of the Intercontinental title tournament, so he was taken out of the match and replaced by Rocky. And
Hmm.
Ken Shamrock could not make the match due to some injuries, so LOD just went against the three of them by themselves.
Hmm. What was your thought? What was your thoughts on this match?
Eh, it was okay. Basically, what happened was LOD were fighting all three of them off towards the end, and then they were about to hit the Doomsday device. But then Farouk came to cause a distraction, and then Animal got distracted by him and tried to chase him off. And then Kama hit Hawk in the back of the head with a kick, and then The Rock hit him with the rock bottom. Wasn't called that at the time, but it's obviously the rock bottom, and then
Right.
he got the win for the nation.
Mm.
Yeah, it's so crazy. This is like very early into like the Rock's time in the nation. Like he had literally just joined them. So yeah, it's like
Yeah,
so
in
weird. Like
August.
yeah, like it's so like weird watching him like in the nation during this time where he was like kind of
Right.
like still the background dude.
Yeah, but this was all part of the plan. It was all a purpose that would, turn The Rock and who he is now. Because you got to remember, this is what I'm talking about, the whole, transition thing. Like, a lot of wrestlers were in different scenarios early in the year versus now, where, yeah, The Rock was a babyface early that year. And yeah, he got
And a very
booed.
good one.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, he was just ate up by the crowd. And then him turning heel was like the best. It's like the best move that he ever did.
Best thing that ever happened to his career.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he was in the middle of that during this period. So yeah, they got the win here to kind of further establish him. So it made sense. And LOD, they were still pretty hot in '97. They still got great reactions, but you could like definitely tell like they weren't like at their peak anymore.
Right.
Yeah, by this point, I kind of felt like they were being used more as in some ways enhancement talent.
Yeah.
Because I remember in their first WWE run in the early '90s, I never saw them once get pinned or submit.
Mm.
Even that match where they lose the titles to Money Inc., that match was never televised. They even only agreed to do the title change if it wasn't filmed.
Oh wow.
Yeah, really weird. Yeah, like
Ego.
that's what I mean sometimes. Yeah, like you can't really just put it all on Hogan for like never wanting to lose and whatnot because he wasn't the only one who, acted that way.
Right.
Yeah, and like then in this run when they came back in '97, they were losing all the time, especially when they became LOD 2000. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah. When there are a few, especially when the New Age Outlaws came in and came into the,
Yeah,
you know,
that sealed their fate. I think like before that they were still doing fine, but then once the Outlaws came along and they had that feud, I feel like that sealed their fate.
yeah.
All right, but anyway, yes, we had the LOD losing to the Nation in this match, and in our second match, since Brian Pillman had passed away and they could not do Dude Love against Brian Pillman, obviously they did another match instead, which involved a mini tag team match involving Max Mini. You remember Max Mini, right?
Yeah, they were doing a
But
lot of these
anyway,
matches sometimes, and it was. I look, I watched this event like a year ago, so I kind of like remember most of it, and it was like that one match. I was just like, oh my god, like, well, yeah,
yeah, they
skip
were just
this.
like yeah, they were just like random matches from like mini wrestlers you never heard of. There was like no story involved, so you're like, why are they putting this on the show? Well,
Right.
obviously, I know why they put it on the show in this case, but yeah, they even had one of those matches at the Royal Rumble in '98 too.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Yes, yeah. So it was Max Mini and Nova against Mosaic and Tarantula, and Max Mini and Nova picked up the win.
Hmm.
Also, Sonny was the guest ring announcer for this match too.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, this is like when they were throwing her into like all these different like random roles. Like she would like do guest commentary one week, she'd do be a guest referee the next week, guest ring announcer the week after, guest backstage reporter one week. Yeah, she was like all over the place during this time.
Yeah, she thinks she was like the host for the free for all, I believe.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, she was doing a
Yeah.
whole bunch of shit. Yeah, so and it's funny enough, no, I take that back. She was not the ring announcer for this match. She was the ring announcer for the next match we're going to talk about. And that was
Okay.
for the WWE Tag Team Championship. We had the Headbangers defending against the Godwins. And funny enough, the Godwins and Sonny had a lot of history from the year before when Phineas threw the slop bucket on her, which contained lots and lots of stuff that I probably shouldn't repeat on this show. If you watch the Dark Side of the Ring episode about Sonny and Chris Candido, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Got you.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, the Headbangers against the Godwins. Yeah, this match went on too long. It was not very interesting, to be honest with you. And it ended with the Godwins picking up the win and regaining the tag team titles.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's one thing about WWE during this time. Their tag division, with the exception of the LOD and also the British Bulldog and Owen Hart, at this point, it was not that popular.
Oh no, not really. Oh.
But it did get a
Of
shot in the arm when the New Age Outlaws came together, which was actually not too
course,
long after the show.
goes without saying.
But here, not so much. Yeah, this match really
Yeah,
dragged, and the Godwins won the belts back, and they would only hold them for 1 week as they would lose them to the Legion of Doom. And I
gotcha.
asked myself why they didn't just do that title change with the Legion of Doom beating them on this show, but it's what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And then in our next match for the finals of the tournament to crown a new Intercontinental Champion, because Stone Cold Steve Austin had a forfeited due to the neck injury, we had
Hmm.
Owen Hart rocking his Owen 316 I Just Broke Your Neck shirt.
Oh.
Yeah, he was really doing that shit during that time.
I know. I hate it. It's brilliant heel work. I mean, come on, but brilliant.
It
But yeah,
was.
yeah.
But I wonder how he really felt about that in real life, considering like what really
Oh,
happened.
come on. He felt guilty. Come on. He
Yeah.
felt
But
guilty.
like
I mean,
he feels guilty about that happening, but yet they're having him like promoted.
yeah, but like I said, dude, it's all just kayfabe, just to get heat on you. But I know deep down personally that he felt bad. So we all know it was an accident, and hey, wrestling is not ballet. So, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so they were exploiting it basically at the time, having like Owen play into it. So yeah, he was
yeah,
rocking the Owen 316 shirts, and he would face the leader of the Nation of Domination, Farouk, to decide the new champion. But before the match started, Stone
Austin showed
Cold
up.
Steve Austin came out. Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin came out. He was switching places with all the commentary tables, like he was at the English announce table for a few minutes, talking shit to Vince McMahon. Then he went to the
Yeah,
Spanish announce table, started talking shit there. Then he went to the
yeah.
French announce table and started talking shit there. Honestly, that was the highlight of this whole match was Austin's like antics outside the ring.
Pretty much, and the match was whatever. But then he made a difference in his match. He cost Farouk the match.
Yes, as the referee was distracted by, and Sergeant Slaughter, who was at ringside, was distracted by Jim Neidhart, who just came down the ringside. Austin hit Farouk in the head with the IC title, and then that allowed Owen Hart to pin Farouk, regain the Intercontinental title for the second time, and Austin just threw the title into the ring and walked away.
Yeah, I think he did that for a reason because he wanted to really get back at Owen. If I'm gonna get that title back, is I don't want to be against Farouk. I want to be against the person who tried to break my neck.
And this would basically set up their rematch that they would have at Survivor Series the next month. And
Yeah,
this will also set up Austin's mini feud with the Nation that happened during this time from, costing Farouk the match. Like they had like a little bit of a thing going on for a few weeks. And that would ultimately lead into his feud with The Rock that would happen at the end of the year.
gotcha.
And the rest is history, as they say. All right, so on to our next match. We saw this match so many times at pay-per-views during this time frame. We had the Disciples of Apocalypse, the biker crew DOA, taking on Los Boricuas, the Puerto Rican gang from the South Bronx.
Dude, how long were these two feuding with each other? I felt like they were feuding with each other for the longest.
Forever, forever. That's how long they were feuding. Forever. They had this match on pay-per-views 3 times within like a 4-month period. So yeah, the DOA basically pick up the win. There's not really much to say about this match. Yeah, the feud was kind of fun in some parts, but the matches themselves were not the best
Just a
thing to
mess.
watch on these shows. No, they
Just a
were a
mess.
mess. Yeah, not a lot to say going back to watch this. And yeah, crazy seeing Crush it's crazy seeing Crush as like the leader of a motorcycle gang.
Yeah, and you look how he was back then. In the early '90s. He was just a regular. Yeah, the mohawk and no, not the mohawk. The mullet and
He
just
had so many
yeah.
different gimmicks. He had so many different gimmick changes. First, he was Demolition Crush. Then he was Kona Crush with the bright like orange outfits. Then he was
Yeah,
like just regular heel Crush when Mr. Fuji took over, and he had that feud with Savage. Then he was like Convict Crush when he came back with the braids, and then when he was in the Nation also, and then he became Biker Crush. Holy shit, man. All right, but yeah, the DOA picked up the win here. And in our co-main event of the show, we had a tag team flag match which pitted WWE champion Bret Hart along with the British Bulldog, fresh off of losing his European championship to Shawn Michaels in his home country just 2 weeks before, taking
Yeah.
on taking on Vader and the Patriot, who literally only had a cup of coffee in WWE.
Yeah, that was a short-lived one.
He was there for
Short-lived.
3 months. He was there for 3 months tops, and he was gone.
Just the feud with Brett because of the whole USA versus Canada thing. Yeah, that was
Well, he had some drug problems too. That's another reason why he wasn't around for so long.
I see.
God rest his soul, but that was
Yeah,
another factor. But in any
yeah,
event, this is kind of weird that they did a tag team flag match of all things, and also like the way to win the match was by pinfall, and also you could grab the flag from the top of the pole.
yeah, yeah. See, now I remember that. I was just like, okay, in a flag match here, the only way you're supposed to win is to grab the flag. But you said that you could do that or pin. So what's the whole point?
Yeah, it was a really weird concept. Weird it being a tag team match at that. That's what I
Yeah,
mean by like this point in the whole Hart Foundation stable they were doing, the anti-America stable. It kind of felt like secondary. Like it didn't really. It felt like it was like past its peak by this point. Because Bret Hart was right in that Wrestling with Shadows documentary when he said it like about the time like he left. He lost his job as being the number one babyface to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and at this point he lost his job of being the number one heel to Shawn Michaels.
yeah, which we'll get into later. But
Yeah, so Bret
really
Hart
enough.
and yeah, it was okay. The crowd was into it compared to other parts of the show, but it was just like, it was just okay. And then Bret and Bulldog ultimately won the match when Patriot was trying to roll up Bret, but then Bret reversed the roll up and then pulled the Patriot's tights and then pinned him and won the match that way.
Yeah, just really not a whole lot to write about.
Yeah, and this would be the last we would ever see of the Patriot in WWE. Yeah, this is his last
Ah,
match there. He was
hmm,
never there or seen there again. So yeah, that was that. Bret and Bulldog win the match, and this would be one of Bret Hart's last pay-per-view matches in WWE, as the very next month would be the Montreal Screwjob, and that's a whole nother story for another time.
yeah,
So on to our main event.
the
We had the
match that everybody was there for.
yes,
The goes without saying, words really cannot describe this matchup, and it's pretty much like this match is really set the tone for the business moving forward.
yes,
And that,
we had the first ever Hell in a Cell match take place on this show, and it pitted The Undertaker against Shawn Michaels, who were in the middle of a blood feud during this time. That all started
mhm,
at SummerSlam 2 months before when Shawn Michaels accidentally cost The Undertaker the championship when he hit him with the chair during his
yeah,
match with Bret Hart. And then
mhm,
this led to a feud between the two of them where like Shawn wasn't really very apologetic about what happened at SummerSlam. And even a few weeks later on Raw, Shawn hit Undertaker with a chair so hard that he bled from the head. And it
yeah,
was also around this time that Shawn Michaels started aligning himself with Triple H, China, and their insurance policy ravishing Rick Rude, who recently returned to the
mhm,
company.
yeah. I on my Shawn Michaels DVD, that match is on there, and they had the promo package, and they also had the commercial for the match. Love the commercial. It was eerie. It's a very eerie commercial. It was just like they're showing like the cage and it's dark and it's like, and then you're like, what Hell in a Cell? It's like,
What is
what?
this? Yeah.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
cage
I
with
didn't
a
know what
top on it, huh?
yeah, I didn't know what to expect from it. When they said Hell in a Cell match, I said, what's that? And then the night of the show, when we saw the cell come down, you just say to yourself,
Oh,
this is going to be insane.
yeah,
This is
and
going to
then
be epic, and this is going to be fucking violent.
and prior to this, leading up, they're all saying how there's one way in, there's no way out. The door is gonna be padlocked shut, and you're like, okay. And when you see it, you're like, oh, like wow. And it's crazy
Yeah,
where they got the idea from because it came from. It's funny. WCW did a match just like this, like a long time ago, called like In the Omni or something like that. That's where they got the idea from. So, um, and it was funny. According to Sean, they were gonna do just a regular cage match, but we know what cage matches looked in back then. It was just like a big old blue cage, and it didn't look right. And they kind of like, well, hey, let's do this idea instead. And that's what they did, and that was like the best thing to do. And it really set the tone for the business moving forward for feuds. Like when you have a deep rooted feud, this is your route. This is what you do. You do in a Hell in a Cell, and boy, did it deliver. Whew.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy to think this is the very first Hell in a Cell match, and how many of them we've had since then. Yeah, it's crazy to think that this is like the very start of it, and it's gone on to be probably arguably WWE's most famous match.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just has such a legacy, for being violent, for taking years off of people's careers and lives in many
yeah,
cases. And yeah, this is
hmm
the foundation of it, was right here at Bad Blood '97. And it's
yeah,
so funny. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels have been in the company together for 7 years by this point, and they never wrestled each other in a one-on-one match before until the Ground Zero pay-per-view the month before, which
yeah,
basically is the reason why this match came about, because at the Ground Zero match, there was a bunch of outside interference, a bunch of shenanigans, and like there
hmm
was like no set winner in the match. So that's why they added the Hell in a Cell to this one, so that they can keep all the people who were not involved in this whole thing out of it and keep Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in it, so things can finally be settled.
yeah. And I remember before the match, Sergeant Slaughter was even looking under the ring to see if, no outside interference or anything like that. So just to make sure that we're gonna get one on one
And
for what
to
we
add
thought, but
heat onto himself, Shawn Michaels convinced Vince McMahon to allow him to defeat the British Bulldog at the one night only United Kingdom pay per view that happened 2 weeks before, to win the European Championship. Even though British Bulldog was supposed to win that match, and he dedicated that match to his terminally ill sister, Shawn
uh,
Michaels had it switched to him winning it instead. I mean, granted, he was right in the sense that it did add more heat to him going into this match, especially on that night when it happened. Those fucking UK fans were pissed. Those
I
fans
know,
were like, get violent.
I
But
know.
it's just kind of an example of Shawn Michaels' like politicking and attitude during that time. And yeah, like during this time was definitely, it was Shawn Michaels' peak as far as being an in-ring performer, but also Shawn Michaels' peak at being a douchebag also.
I mean, as I was saying, I mean, there's no defending it though, but
Hell no, yeah, this is, yeah, Shawn has even said it himself. Like this is his peak as a performer, but also the peak of all of his personal problems.
yeah,
Because like the DX stuff, the stuff that he was doing with DX, he even said you should have been sitting on a therapist's couch, like talking about his feelings as opposed to airing them out in that way.
yeah, hmm,
Also, it was the same night, like on the free for all, when Michael Cole, who had just debuted in the company around this time, was trying to interview DX, and they all fucked with him. They threw him in the shower, they like fucked with his
oh,
clothes. Yeah,
right,
they were always fucking with Michael Cole during that
yeah,
time.
they were, yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy how young he looked back then. Like when I went back and watched it today, it's like crazy how young Michael Cole
yeah,
looked.
just straight black hair and mustache and everything.
Yeah, so young. Yeah, so young,
Yeah,
so much smaller too.
hmm but yeah, so we start the match, and remember, Triple H with Rude and China outside of the ring. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
outside of the cage. I'm sorry. Undertaker shows up, and it's a cow. And it starts off as a cat and mouse game, and it's one of those matches that starts off slow. Like you don't really expect it to get violent at first. Starts off as a regular, just a plain wrestling match.
match.
Starts off slow, then it turns into like, oh, they're outside of the ring, they're hitting each other on the cage, and the part where Undertaker he grabs Michaels and he bangs his back to the cage back and forth. And then I love that spot where Shawn he runs through the middle rope outside the ring onto Undertaker. And then he uses steel steps to hit him, and just back
Hell,
and forth between each other.
hell, he even hit Taker with a pile driver on the steps.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Damn.
yeah.
I think
The turning, the turning point. Oh my god, when um, Michaels had Taker tied up on a rope, and as he's about to, run at him, Taker counters, but then he flips Michaels over and he hits the cameraman. And then Michaels gets pissed and he insult to injury, he even beats him up even more. And I think the reason why he was doing that so he could get the people the referees to open the door so they could get the cameraman out. That was the whole point of it. Good mind games on Michaels. But anyway, he hits Taker with the sweet chin music. Taker, immediately nips up and he tries to get out of the cage, and then Taker gets after him, and this is when hell breaks loose.
yep.
Taker grabs him. Um, he throws him into the cage outside of the ring, and Michaels is busted open. Not he doesn't throw him into the cage not once but twice, and then Michaels proceeds to go on top of the cage. This was Michaels' idea. When he saw the
Sounds about
cage,
right.
he's like, "Oh, well, let's do something on the top." So yeah, he proceeds to climb up the cage, and Undertaker follows him. And then, Taker's still beating Michaels up. Michael tries to escape. He tries to get off. And they're on like kind of like on the edge of where the announce table is at. And he's like hanging by a thread. And in that moment where is one of the grandeur moments of this match, is the epic moments of this match, Taker is kicking Michael's hand, and then Michael falls from not necessarily the top. He's kind of like in the middle of kind of like the middle of the cage where
Yeah.
he's at, and he falls into the I think was that the Spanish announce table.
Oh, so it was always a Spanish announce table back
Okay,
then.
I just had to be for sure because there was two. You know what I mean? You may never
Now
know.
the Spanish tables always got it the worst back in those
Yeah, I
days.
know always, but I had to remember like which table was it. But yeah, he falls onto the table, man, and man, that's one of the when you look back at Hell in a Cell, they always show that image of Michaels falling down.
Yep, it's
Like,
the lasting image of that whole match. Well, one of.
well, yeah, one of them
Yeah,
in. Oh yeah, like I think the main one is so when they finally get back into the ring, Michaels is bloodied, and then there's that camera shot of him just you can just see like a clear image of him just bloody. They even used that image in the Raw is War intro a couple years later of him, bloody. They even showed him of him getting hit by the steel chair. That was a brutal steel chair, and that was kind of like
I was,
karma for all those times that Michaels hit Taker with the chair. Taker finally
also he
hits, huh?
also he hit Shawn with a choke slam from the top rope.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, and then he got him with that gnarly chair shot to the head, which was karma for what happened in the feud when it first started in the first place. And as the Undertaker's calling for the tombstone, the lights go out.
And they're like, "What's going on? What is this?"
And
Just
then
some
all of a
eerie
sudden
music plays.
you hear some eerie music play,
Yeah,
and then you see Paul Bearer come out with his big, tall ass, 7 foot tall giant of a man in a red and black mask and a red and black outfit, which turned out to be the Undertaker's long lost brother Kane,
and
making his
there's
debut after
and
Paul
there's
Bearer had been saying
pyro
for
in the back.
yeah crazy ass pyro. Paul Bear had been saying for weeks that the Undertaker's brother Kane was alive. Kane is
Mhm.
alive, Undertaker. Kane is alive, Undertaker. Yeah, he was spouting that shit for weeks, talking about your brother Kane is coming. You're gonna burn in hell, Undertaker. Yeah, he was on it, talking about Kane is coming, Kane is coming. And then on this night, Kane had finally showed up.
Yeah, and the look on Undertaker's face was kind of like the look on everybody else's. Like, who is this person? And just whoa, just as big as the Undertaker.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw Kane on this night, I was shook. Like I had never been shook before. Like just the look of
And,
the dude, the presentation, how big he was, even compared to the Undertaker. You're like, holy shit.
and him opening up the steel that the door, and it was padlocked, and he just freaking just grabbed that door and just like, and then he even threw Earl Hebner was the referee. He even threw him into the cage. I was like, oh God,
Yeah, get his ass out of there.
right? He gets in the ring and they're just Taker and Kane are face to face at each other. And Taker's I'm looking. Taker's
A big
never
guy.
had that look on his face. Never. That look on Taker's face he never had that look on his face, but that face said it all, man. Just shook and shocked and then, Kane's looking at him and he does that famous pyro in the ring and then a fire. The pyro is in the ring and then he gives Undertaker a tombstone, his own tombstone to Undertaker. Then they just leave. Kane and Paul Bearer leave, and I think Paul Bearer woke up Earl Hebner. I think he like threw water on him or something like that. And then funny how Michaels was crawling out in a pool of his own blood, and he puts his hand over Undertaker, and then Earl Hebner crawls in, and he doesn't even know what the hell's going on, and he makes that slow 3 count. That was like that's like one of the best parts. Like when you see a match like that, like you don't do a fast count, you do a slow 3 count, hoping that kick out, but nah, it was a slow 3 count, and that was cool. I like stuff like that. And Michaels escapes from the jaws of death because of Kane is the winner.
Damn. And that was the very first Hell in a Cell match, ladies and gentlemen. And in many people's opinion, the best Hell in a Cell match there has ever been. And yeah, going back to watch it today, it was definitely a classic and one of the best matches in WWE history, and one of the few matches to get the 5-star rating from the Wrestling Observer. And it would be the last match actually to get that rating until the John Cena and CM Punk match for Money in the Bank in 2011.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was two different years where WWE got two 5-star matches from the Observer in the same year. And yeah, it was 94 with the Bret and Owen cage match and the Razor and Shawn ladder match. And this year was with the Bret and Owen submission match. I'm sorry, Bret and Austin submission match. And then the Taker and Shawn Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, this match was crazy. It was violent. It set the tone for what Hell in a Cell matches would be
Hmm.
throughout the Attitude Era and the years after. Yeah, this period, this time frame, this fall of 1997 period was the groundwork for what the Attitude Era would be. From the debut of Kane, the debut of Hell in a Cell, DX getting hot around this time, Austin really getting hot around this time, The Rock first
Hmm.
joining the Nation and really coming into his own. Yeah, like everything that was like really what the Attitude Era is known for and famous for, all of it could be traced back to this like latter part of 97 period.
Yeah. Goes without saying. And what I loved about it, look, the event was the event's really not, as in general, is not good, but it's only remembered for that one match. And then what was crazy, the cool thing about it, that it left me with a cliffhanger.
Huge, gigantic cliffhanger. This is the epitome of a one match show, but that one match show just makes it all worth it alone.
Yeah, and it made you want to like, oh my god, I have to find out what happens tomorrow. So
Yeah. Only
yeah.
really one match to watch on this show, but that one match is one of the best matches you'll ever see. And
Oh yeah.
arguably one of the best one of the best debuts you'll ever see in the history of WWE. Everyone
Oh,
says
easily.
between Kane's debut here and Jericho's debut in '99, those are two of the best debuts in the history of WWE.
I agree.
Yeah, monster, huge, gigantic, groundbreaking debut from Kane. I remember watching it vividly the night it happened, and yeah, I could not believe what I saw. Neither could the
Yeah,
Undertaker, especially, and that would set up their feud that would go into WrestleMania 14 the next year. And crazy,
yeah.
they waited a whole 6 months to till they did the first match.
It was building up even before Bad Blood because you got to remember it was announced that Undertaker had a brother and his brother was alive. So as a viewer, we're kind of like, okay, who is Kane and when is he going to show up? And he finally shows up, right?
Yeah, he finally
And
showed up, made
then
a huge, gigantic impact, and then that would lead
yeah,
to yeah their feud that would go on for the next years, honestly. But this was like the best part of their feud was like yeah this part when they
yeah.
first started
And
feuding.
you got to remember, Taker didn't immediately go in and want to like, oh, I want to fight you. Taker was, um, resistant. He just like, nah, I don't want to, fight my own brother. But he got provoked, and that took time.
Multiple
And that was
times.
yeah, that was a slow build, and it was worth it. It's I think Taker and Kane both call it one of the greatest wrestling stories ever told.
Yeah, one of the best wrestling stories ever told. One of the best builds to a match for WrestleMania there's ever been. Also, yeah,
Hmm.
Undertaker and Kane is one of the defining feuds of the Attitude Era, and also one of the defining feuds in wrestling. Period.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was Bad Blood 1997, ladies and gentlemen. One match show, but that one match is definitely worth the price. And yeah,
yeah,
it was refreshing to see where WWE was heading during this time. Like I
yeah,
said, the show itself isn't a classic by any stretch as a whole, but just some of the things they were doing around this time to lay the groundwork for what would need to come by '98. Yeah, it was a special time, very special time to be a fan, and I'll never forget it.
definitely.
All right, so later this month we will be covering No Mercy 2002.
Yes, and I have to say I actually watched that show yesterday, and that show's definitely lived up to the hype, and it was definitely better than Bad Blood, though. Big difference between 2002 and 1997, though. But that's a actually show that I pretty enjoyed.
Yeah, there's mainly two great matches on that show. Everything else on the show is mainly just okay, or in some cases very bad. But we'll get into that in a few weeks.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
there was a couple of stuff that was kind of though, but in general, that's the one show it's one of the shows from 2002 that was like, I really like this show. Like
and one of
I
those
would,
shows that and one of those shows that showed you the main difference between how great SmackDown was during that time and
oh yeah,
how not so great Raw was during that time.
I mean, but thank God. I mean, at that time they were because they didn't have brand split pay per views at the time yet. They were,
No, they didn't.
they were both doing, they're both shows were on the pay per views at that time though. But yeah, it was one of my favorite shows of 2002 though. But I can't wait to talk about it later this month.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that episode. And yes, follow us on our social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our Spotify, Spreaker. Let us know what you think of the show, what you like, what you don't like, everything in the middle. We would love to debate and talk to you about this crazy world of wrestling in a healthy way. Keyword healthy way. So, yes, until next time, for John Randall, this is Conscious Kurt with another edition of Clash of Champions. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And remember, don't be an asshole or a douchebag in real life or social media because that toxic bullshit is for the birds,
And ladies and gentlemen, always stay safe, stay blessed, and always stay adventurous.
especially in the bedroom. Have a good
Oh no,
weekend.
that out.